going on? Welcome back to the On the DL podcast. I'm your host, Danny LeClaire, and this is the second episode. I'm out of breath because I just ran up the stairs, so that's a little embarrassing. That's the most humbling, one of the most humbling things you can do is just run quickly upstairs, and you're like destroyed. It doesn't matter how often you run or whatever. It's like, God damn, those stairs just get me every time. Well, anyway, while I catch my breath, so this second episode of On the DL podcast, I want to talk about an interesting story that some of you probably remember. This happened back in 2009, and it's the story of Dalia Dippolito and her husband, Mike Dippolito, I believe his name is. Yes, Mike Dippolito. So I just came across this story recently, and I thought, oh, that's a great topic for like maybe things that you should like keep on the DL. And I have to be careful with how I talk about this because there are rules about what you can and cannot say about murder on the internet and social media. So so if you're not familiar with this story, back in 2009, I believe, a woman by the name of Dalia hired a hitman to unalive her husband, Mike Dippolito. The only issue that she had, besides wanting to unalive her husband and not just file for divorce, the hitman, and I'm doing like quotes, the hitman that she hired, turned out to be an undercover police officer. So I'm not going to give advice on unaliving your spouse, but maybe you shouldn't hire an undercover cop to do the work for you. That's kind of I feel like the number one rule that these people have is don't let the police know about it. Which this is a bigger question. There's do you remember the Scott Peterson and like the Lacey Peterson case years ago? Like, why doesn't Scott just leave? Like all these people that do this, like, I don't know why I'm dancing around it. People who kill people, just don't. How about that? Like, you could just leave. Like, just leave. Just start a new life. Just pack your shit up and go. File for divorce. Like, why take it to the extreme? Like, the literal worst idea that you could have. Like, and especially now, like, people are going to find you. People will find you anywhere. Like, you're not off the grid, even if you are, quote, like, careful. Like, they found the Unabomber, okay? Like, I'm pretty sure they found did we find yeah, we found they found Osama bin Laden. Okay, we will find you if you're gonna do, not me, I'm not doing it, but the people responsible for finding the bad people will find you if you're gonna do something bad. So just don't do it. Go to therapy. I don't know. Do anything else than what you're considering doing. So anyway, so Dalia, she decided that she did not, want to be married to her husband, and she decided that she's going to hire a person and then have her husband murdered. And this all happened down in Florida. And what really caught my eye about this, I think it was on TikTok, there's body cam footage from one of the police officers telling her that her husband is dead. And the way that she reacts so accurately to someone who, has been told that their spouse is dead. Like, she's hysterically crying. She's, very upset and shaking. And I mean, she's a great actor. Meanwhile, she's the one who orchestrated this whole thing. Like, she hired the hitman. She's unaware at the time that the hitman that she hired is not who he says he is, and is actually a police officer. And it's just, I saw that, like, man, like, that is, I mean, what goes through the mind of somebody? I mean, one, to try to commit something like that, but then two, but also to have the ability to act, especially in front of police officers and, here's also where things get like more interesting. Um, so there were cameras, like the show Cops. Were filming all of this. So I mean, imagine. Okay, so you're talking to a police officer, and they're telling you that this person that you love is not alive anymore, and there's TV cameras rolling. It would be a very uncomfortable like situation. I wouldn't want anybody filming me, or I mean, I can't imagine what. And I hope, seriously, I hope that nobody ever has to experience something like this, as well as experience it in front of TV cameras. That's a really weird like rabbit hole of reality TV shows, where I know sometimes reality TV, it's like fake, right? It's like, kind of doctored. I'm sure there are moments of like The Bachelor, for example, where, you have a camera crew, and then the producers were saying like, hey, well, Stacey said this about you, and then Kevin said this about you. Why don't you go? But then there's also sides of reality TV that are very real, and Cops is one of those shows. And yeah, I can't imagine what that's like working on a crew of the show, or being somebody. I mean, being somebody on the show would not be. You fucked up if there's a camera crew. Could you imagine you're committing a crime, and then all of a sudden all these camera dudes show up, and like, am I on Punk'd right now? Worse. It's even worse than that. You're going to jail, and everybody knows. There's no way you can lie to your employer and say like, no, that wasn't me. That was the other guy. Bro, they got you. They got all the footage, especially now with all the body cams and whatever. So on August 5th of 2009, when Dalia, so she arrived at her home she thought that she was arriving on a real crime scene for her husband's murder. And it was in fact an elaborate fake crime scene, created by Daytona Beach police. They recorded this super, as I mentioned, emotional reaction that her husband is dead. But here's the thing. So Mike, the husband, he was already at the police station alive. And they brought Dalia into this interrogation room. And here's what's really, really crazy. So you can find all this online and stuff. So they're filming the interrogation. And they're talking to her, and they're, explaining, all the situation and asking questions. And I'm going to read this here. This is from ABC News. When she was in the interrogation room, police recorded her reaction as they revealed to her that not only was her husband still alive, but that they had taped her conversations with the friend and the supposed hitman, who was really an undercover Daytona Beach police officer. She was immediately arrested for solicitation to commit first-degree murder. Meanwhile, the reality TV show Cops had been filming alongside Daytona Beach Police Department on the day police officers set up their fake crime scene and arrested her. At the time, the Dippolitos had been married for just 6 months. Prosecutors argued that Dalia Dippolito wanted control of the couple's Palm Beach County townhouse and her husband's bank account. Ooh, how much money could be in that bank account that's worth doing all this shit? Like, really? I mean, god damn. There's no amount of money in the world that would make this a good idea. I mean, especially if you're going to talk to... How does that even happen? Like, where do you go? I got to be careful with how I... I don't want to... Actually, I don't want to know where you could find hitmen. Is that even a thing? Like, is that some, like, dark web thing? I mean, that sounds so stupid. like a video game or whatever. Like, but I guess, I don't know. Hitmen are us. 1-800-bye-bye. Like, what? How do you find these people? Obviously, she didn't find the right one. So now, obviously, Dalia has always denied that she wanted her husband, murdered. And she's going through the trials, and, so yeah. So she was sentenced to 20 years in prison in 2011. She was went to trial for the first time, was found guilty, and murder for hire plot is what it's called. Pure evil, 20 years. Bam. God damn, 20 years. That's a long time to be in jail. 20, god damn, 20 years. I mean, what do you do to pass the time? Do you think she's watching Cops? Do they show Cops in TV? Like, oh, hey, there's my brother. You know, like, that would be kind of funny. Like, damn, so that's how they do it. That's where they put the cameras, is in the dashboard of the car. You know, next time I'll have to look out for that. Yeah, this was just a really cool and like, well, hold on, let me rephrase that. This is not a cool story, but I saw it on TikTok and I thought, you know, how can people be so, I don't know. I mean, I guess, what's the right way to say this? Like, dumb? That's an easy way to say it. But you would think that if you're going to do something as complicated and illegal and, like, you know, sensitive, that you would take the precautions to vet the people that you're, like, working with. And I was just thinking of how many other criminals, how many other stories are like this, you know, where people have no idea that what they're doing or what they're saying is being broadcasted and, you know, talked about and, you know, recorded. And it's kind of reminds me about, like, a lot of those, you know, you hear those, like, mafia stories and, you know, in New York and, you know, in the 70s and 80s where the police are tapping phone wires and all this stuff. And it's like, man, I mean, how many hours of conversations? It's kind of creepy to think about. Which is also a good reminder, like, you don't need to post everything on the internet. In case you were familiar or aware, the internet is public and it lives forever. And also the whole, like, AI thing. Yeah, like, your conversations and things that you post, all that stuff, public information. So just be careful and don't talk about unaliving people. I mean, or hiring people to do that. Just go to therapy. This would be a great time if I had a sponsor to talk about, like, BetterHelp or one of those, like, therapy related, I don't know, sponsors. It's always, every sponsor on every podcast is like Skillshare, BetterHelp, Squarespace, Sattva mattresses, Stamps.com, MeUndies. Look at all this free publicity I'm giving out. So to kind of wrap up the whole deal on Dalia. So in 2014, an appeals court judge, which I'm not even going to try to begin to explain. I don't even know how all that appeals and court and legislation, legalese. I'm just throwing out any sort of legal terminology I may or may not have heard of on the show Suits. So in 2014, this appeals judge ruled that the jury in her first trial was improperly selected and tossed out the conviction. She faced a second trial in 2016 and then was again charged for solicitation to commit first-degree murder. 2 for 2. How do you get charged twice? I mean, see, that's where I don't understand the whole, like, appeals court thing. Like, you know, so you have the first trial. I guess in the first trial they must have found something that was deemed, yeah, I mean, the improperly selected. But how does that even, like, don't you select a jury and everybody agrees, okay, this is the jury, and then, I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, clearly. So yeah, so that's kind of the story of Dalia Dippolito. Oh wait, actually, hold on. Wait a minute. I'm scrolling more. Third trial in 2017. For what? God, wait, okay, hold on. Awaiting her second trial after her conviction was overturned. Hold on. We got to back up. We got to back this thing up. What the hell is going on in this? Obviously, I haven't done all my research, but it's fine. We're going to learn together. So, the Daytona Beach Police Department denied any wrongdoing and said that they were gathering evidence against Dalia Dippolito. Oh, the presence of Cops TV show created a frenzy within the Daytona Beach Police Department to manufacture good television. Oh, interesting. Interesting. So the angle is that because there was this TV show that the police department is going extra crazy and manufacturing evidence. Ooh, that's not good. So they did another trial. How many freaking trials? Okay, so the first trial, guilty. Okay, and then in 2014, so 3 years later, a guy says, "Hey, that first one improper. Get him out. Let's do it again." She faced a second trial in 2016, charged again. Bam. All right. At her second trial, okay, that was the defense. Her second trial, they had argued that the first one. Uh, oh wow, this is all very confusing. Is this entertaining? I hope this is entertaining. Listening to me struggle with all this stuff. Basically, they were trying. Her defense was trying to say that because of the TV show that so first the first jury, they were improperly selected. Then the second one, they're saying, hey, the show was causing extra, hype and whatever. She's, innocent, whatever. Awaiting her second trial after the conviction was overturned, Dippolito was under house arrest at her mother's house. She became pregnant at the time and gave birth to a son. Damn. How do you get pregnant on house arrest? Well, I mean, I guess you're at your house. I mean, any jabroni can just come over. So you got to leave the ankle monitor on during sex, right? Because you can't take that off. So it begs the question. Like I've heard this. This is not my bit at all. This is I had gone to a comedy show, and I was down at the Comedy Mothership down in Austin, Texas, and one of the comedians there was asking, do you leave your Apple Watch on during sex or do you take it off? This is a whole nother situation. Like, I guess, yeah, you got to leave it on. It's just clanking around on your foot. What if your PO officer, like, what if somebody answers and says, like, hey, you got to check in right now? Like, what do you, because, okay, that's another great example. That there's a microphone because you can talk into it. I'm saying this as if I know from personal experience. I am not now or have ever worn an ankle monitor. However, I have seen them used in television shows. You could talk into them and like communicate with your PO officer or whoever and say, hey, I'm checking in, all good, whatever. So that means that there's like a two-way microphone. There's a speaker and a microphone. So are they like listening to people banging it out? These convicts? Oh, God. There's another show. Maybe not. That doesn't need to be a show. All right. Her third trial, 2017. A jury returned a verdict in just 90 minutes. Dippolito was again, 3 for 3, convicted of solicitation to first-degree murder. She was sentenced to 16 years in prison. 3 times. Jesus. In September of 2019, the Florida Supreme Court rejected without comment a request from Dippolito for the court to review her 2017. No, you're done. You're done. No more. We're not doing this 4 times. Her defense team had tried to put the case before the U.S. Supreme Court, but in February, the court declined to hear it. See, that's where I don't understand. Like, the Supreme Court, like, what? Are they the court of courts? And, like, where are they? Are they in D.C.? Are they in New York? Are they everywhere? Are they all around us? The Supreme Court? Okay, yeah, no, we're not doing it 4 times. Oh, her lawyer, we're still fighting. Well, maybe not. We plan to file a motion with a federal judge to ask that judge to review the third trial for constitutional violations against Dalia Dippolito. So we have at least one chance to get Dalia a new trial. We haven't given up hope. Well, you should. Let me put a stop to that. You should. I mean, 3 for 3. You're one more strikeout away from the golden sombrero. That's when you strike out 4 times in a game, by the way. While serving out her prison sentence, Dippolito has been leading a Bible study group behind bars. She's a very well respected in jail for her faith, her lawyer says. He added that she still gets to see her young son, that's terrible, who is 4 years old. Hold on. It's not terrible that she gets to see her son. It's just terrible that this 4-year-old kid has to go see his mother, who is in jail for, let's read this again, first-degree solicitation to commit first-degree murder. Ooh. Try explaining that one. It is very painful for Dalia to be in jail and to not be around her son. It's breaking her heart, Claypool said. Dalia truly misses the fact that she cannot be around her son more. Here's an idea. Okay, groundbreaking. Maybe don't commit solicitation to commit first-degree murder. And then you could have seen your son. Here's an idea. If you just were with your husband and like were loving and caring and passionate and whatever, you probably could have had more than just the townhouse in Palm Beach and the bank account. Like, you could be in a loving, healthy relationship and raise a child, maybe multiple children. I don't know your deal. And also not be in jail for 16 years. But what do I know? I'm just a guy trying to do a podcast. But yeah, I really encourage you. This is a pretty interesting story. And like you said, some of you probably remember this. It was a huge, huge deal back in 20. It was just 2009, and then it unfolded, all the trials and all that stuff. 2011, 2016, 17, and all that stuff. So, yeah, that one you want to keep. That one you want to keep on the DL. And a lot of these criminals, a lot of these people, I mean, you almost like scratch your head, but like, obviously they're not, like, there's something wrong, obviously, right? These are not like your normal stand-up individuals, but it's like, what were you thinking? You know, some people walk around like operating at like not full, like 40% capacity, which, look, everybody's different. Everybody, goes through life and has different abilities and different skills. And that doesn't mean that they shouldn't have access to the same, opportunities that other people do. Everybody's different. Everybody has different upbringings and access to education and good health and nutrition and parents. I mean, alone, how much of your life can you attribute, good or bad, to your parents and your upbringing? So like, clearly, nobody told her that this was a bad idea, and she didn't have that reinforcement from, I don't want to speculate about her upbringing, but yeah, I mean, people just, these criminals, just not thinking clearly. But then you also get, what gets kind of scary are the ones like, we'll just throw out like Ted Bundy, for example, the ones who are calculated and who have almost like an ability to, navigate through life, and they're very persuasive, and, those are the ones where it's like, whoa, like, you're like calculated. Those are kind of crazy. So stay safe out there, and yeah, keep an eye on people trying to hire hitmen for your, like, what? I'm still just confused on how do you even go about doing that? Like, anyway. Other than that, some other things that I got going on. This was really interesting. Speaking of criminals, so I was on Instagram, and I was like scrolling through my main feed, and I saw this caught me off guard. So there's a profile. It was like a row of profiles. You know how sometimes it'll say like suggested for you, and it'll show other people, and it'll say like follow or, popular accounts or whatever. Well, this one, it was all these profiles, these like AI, like chat bots that you can talk to, or I guess you would send like a message to and like have a conversation with. The first one that caught my attention was Aaron Hernandez. And there's a little message. I took a screenshot of it because I was so like, okay, what troll is doing this? But no, it was, I guess it's like a feature with Instagram. I have no idea. But yeah, okay, so I'm looking at the screenshot. It says chat with AIs, and there's like a little picture. It looks kind of like I don't know, like a star with a little smiley face. And then there's a profile picture of a man. It's Aaron Hernandez, like an AI picture of him in a black leather jacket standing in what looks like an alleyway, and there's like an overhead light. He looks very menacing. He's got his hands crossed in front of him with tattoos on his hands, and his fingers are kind of like interlaced. The profile, it just says Aaron Hernandez, 7,000 messages, and then there's a button at the bottom that says chat with AI. Oh, and then the message that's above his head says, "What's up?" What? What? It says, "What's up?" Aaron Hernandez, chat with AI. What the fuck are we doing? What are we doing with these? Oh my god. Okay. I use AI. A lot of people are so fed up with me talking about AI. I talk about it all the time. I'm talking about it so much my voice is cracking. But I guess this goes with any sort of technology that's available nowadays. There's some really cool, and like you can learn a lot, and it can optimize and automate a lot of things in your life. Or you can make Aaron Hernandez AI chatbot. This is ridiculous. That can't be. It can't be made by Instagram because there's no way. There's no way Mark Zuckerberg and team are like, you know what we should do? We should just start making like who's next? Who who do you follow up with on the chat with AI bots after that? Like other murderers or athletes? Both? Like, is there going to be an OJ one next? I mean, what are we doing? Why not make like I don't know, what's a cool person that you'd want to talk to? Oh yeah, that's actually a good question. If you could talk to anybody, like any human ever, who would it be? I don't. Damn. I mean, I obviously I would think I would have to say like Jesus or you know somebody like really cool. I mean, Jesus he was a pretty cool guy. He did some pretty cool things. I would say in his time. Um, there's a lot of people out there that they'd say some. There's some history figures pretty polarizing, if you know what I mean. Some of them from Germany. I'm sure. I'm sure some people would want to talk to. Ooh, God, that's a pretty crazy thought. Huh? I don't know. I'll have to think about it. But I guess for now, I'm going with Jesus. Um, I think it'd be cool to talk to like Michael Jackson. You know, he was an interesting guy. Um, yeah, who else? Man, well, this took a turn. Michael Jackson, Aaron Hernandez, and Dalia Dippolito, I guess. All right, well, I think that's going to wrap it up for our second episode of the podcast. If you enjoyed, of course, checking us out on checking us out. You can check us out. We're on Instagram, and so the goal with this show is it's going to be a part of what I'm calling the Villanova Network, and I'll have more about that in the upcoming series. But essentially, what I'm doing is creating one company, Villanova, and then underneath that company there will be different channels. So we have this one, which is the On the DL podcast. We have New Day, New Skill, which is a community of people trying and learning new things. I'm also working on some other projects that I can't talk about at the moment because I'm still working on it. But it's an app, so that's another one that will fall underneath the content pipeline. So everything is all together. Think of it kind of like if you're familiar with Tom Segura and Christina Pazitsky, they have the YMH Studios, and then underneath that there's the Your Mom's House podcast, the Danny Brown Show. I think there's a First Date Show. There's a bunch of different shows that all fall underneath the studio. So that's the goal, is this show and the other channels will fall in line with that Villanova network. So be on the lookout for that as we get everything set up. And there'll be merch, of course. There'll be some opportunities to connect and like events. That's down in the future, what I'm trying to build. So yeah, hope you've enjoyed, and I will catch you on the next one. Don't hire anybody to unalive anybody. Okay? That's your advice for the week. All right. See you later.